This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
It's true that some things change as we get older. But if you're a woman over 40 and you're dealing with insomnia, brain fog, moodiness, and weight gain, you don't have to accept it as just another part of aging. And with MIDI Health, you can get help and stop pushing through it alone. The experts at MIDI understand that all these symptoms can be connected to the hormonal changes that happen around menopause, and MIDI can help you feel more like yourself again. Many healthcare providers aren't trained to treat or even recognize menopause symptoms. MIDI clinicians are menopause experts. They're dedicated to providing safe, effective, FDA-approved solutions for dozens of hormonal symptoms, not just hot flashes. Most importantly, they're covered by insurance. 91% of MIDI patients get relief from symptoms within just 2 months. You deserve to feel great. Book your virtual visit today at joinmidi.com. That's joinmidi.com.
6 hours, 53 minutes, and 45 seconds. 44, 43, 42. That's what we're waiting for. I love the music is so ominous at the end. Just so also almost sort of a foreboding. How do you think of the voice today, Timothy?
Sounds the same as yesterday.
I think it sounds actually a little richer in tone.
A little deeper?
A little deeper.
A little meat saucier?
Yeah, I feel like I would call it a smokier, is what I would say. I don't know how you get a summer cold. Could be COVID, I guess. Could be, I mentioned yesterday, bubonic plague, beriberi, or African sleeping sickness. But I'm a tough guy. I'll keep going. You don't take a day off on game 2 of the Western Conference semifinals, right? What am I supposed to, can't make it. What do you think? I'm Steph Curry, going to take the time off, eat some dirt, rub a little Robitussin on it, and you go out and play. And so that's why I'm here, because I wouldn't miss it. Ronnie Millsap did a song, I wouldn't have missed it for the world. It's cheesy, but Ronnie was cheesy. Ronnie Millsap, one of my favorite artists of all time. Blind, I think, from birth. Kind of a country crossover guy. You know what country crossover is, tend to be? It's not real twangy. It's got a country flavor to it, but it's also got what they call AC, adult contemporary. And he was the best at it. And he had all sorts of, I went and saw him up at Grand Casino Hinckley. I think I mentioned this when I went to see him. This is about 4 or 5 years ago. He has so many hits that if he played every hit song that he had, it'd be a 4-day concert.
Yeah.
So he would play and he didn't do a very long show because he's getting up there in years. I think he did, hour 20. I don't think he got to 90. And he would sing some songs, the biggest hits, start to finish. The others, he would do medleys. I mean, he's doing live medleys because
he's doing a Super Bowl show.
Yeah. It's because everybody's got a favorite, and they're going to feel like they're left out if I don't do it. So I'll give you a little of this, a little of that, with the emphasis on the lat. And why did I start talking about Ronnie Millsap? What did that have to do with anything?
No idea. We're talking about right now. That somehow get into it. The somber tones.
I think it was a lyric from his song that I wanted to attach to what's happening. All sorts of, as you would expect. Again, the reaction to montages, it shouldn't surprise me anymore, but it does. It's amazing. I'm going to use the word amazing. How excited people get. Tenna, I'm ready now. Thanks. That's all it says. Thanks. He's ready now. I mean, he wasn't before. Now he's ready. Wolves will win because Tennessee did a montage. A montage. Yes. Goosebumps, but now I'm in trouble with the Department of Transportation because I ran my Tundra through the highway stanchion. Me boy, as I've come to expect from the bridge producer, a tremendous, and that's capitalized, montage, ready to run through a wall like the Kool-Aid Man. My biggest questions for the game tonight, where will Rosie be sitting? What will he be eating? And who will he be taking his selfie with? Signed, remove, the interim label guy. Now, I think he knows he's at the top of the pecking order for the courtside seats. But because you could sense yesterday, he's going, I'll be in my media seat. Because he doesn't want to, they probably spread it around, right? At the Lexus Club. What's Lexus Club's guy's name again? The guy that gets in the tickets all the time? He waits to get...
Charlie?
Yeah, Charlie. He waits to hear from him on a text message, right?
He waits for the white smoke to come out.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And so he waits for that, and he got the call, and he got to be there yesterday, 2 days ago, as JG did. And he kind of figures, well, I won't be that guy now, but if that call comes, he's in, right? I mean, but he tried, I'll just be in my media seat. Like, that's just fine with him, which it is, but he wants that courtside seat again.
Of course.
But closer to Charlie, I'd say there's got to be some type of punishment for not wearing the white T-shirt. The Wolves took the time to do a whiteout, and we stole the idea from Winnipeg, but they put a shirt over every chair. He was the only guy that didn't put the white shirt on. He didn't want to,
You've got to be kidding me.
On the fun, be part of everyone. Why do you have to try to stand out in a crowd? Like, no, that's beneath me. I don't need that silliness. Every once in a while, you must conform. I simply must conform. To think that I might be myself would cause me alarm. Every once in a while, you got to conform, Mark Rosen, but he didn't do that. Genevieve really redeemed himself with this montage. It was so good. I recorded it so I can listen to it over and over and over again during the championship run. Well done. Montage Master, back at it again. Welcome back to the spotlight, me boy. The phone lines to 1-800-MASONRY are all full. They're busy. You can't even get in. Of course, not everybody, Tenemy. This one says, yawn. Didn't do anything for him. Somebody else had a criticism. How about this? Oh, goody. Another copy-paste montage from the fill-in producer. Well, yeah, it's kind of copy and paste, but what are you supposed to do at this point? We'll change it up if, like, for instance, let's say they were to lose tonight. What's next? Have you thought it through? Who knows? That could be completely different. It will be different, but we don't know how it will. But there's only so much you can do with right now. It kind of speaks for itself. The music itself is more important than the copy and paste sound bites.
I would also, my response to the criticism, what's your solution?
Yeah.
I mean, just to criticize that doesn't get us anywhere. Tell us what your solution is.
That's exactly right. And then one of my favorites is, thank you, Teneby. Hooty hoo.
Hooty hoo.
A hooty hoo. So there we go. So, Wild hosting game 2 tonight.
Not the Wild.
Or why do I always say Wild? Wolves will host game 2 tonight on this radio station. I probably should have checked with you beforehand. I know it's a 7:30 tap.
7:30
schedule. Do we do a pregame? And how long is it? Half hour, 15? Do we know?
We're doing fan line after. I know that.
Okay, so fan line after, but the opening tap scheduled for a little after 7:30. Let's go ahead and do this. As we go to break, Tenneby's got a bonus bucks keyword for us.
Yeah, the fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. Just enter the keyword fun at KFAN.com now for a shot at winning. The keyword is fun. Enter now at KFAN.com. Chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFAN program. Make your voice heard on the Bradshaw and Bryan text line. Let us know what you have to say by texting your message to 64686. That's 64686. Standard message and data rates apply.
So not a lot of Vikings news. So today we will take a peek at the Pope. Brought to you by our friends at Affordable Electric.
Love that one.
May is Electrical Safety Month. Why don't you go ahead and give them a call and have them come over and take a look at your breaker box or fuse box. They'll look at it for absolutely free on the house. Tell if you got any issues. Affordable-electric.com. Affordable-electric.com. Affordable Electric is shockingly affordable. We do have a Pope. I just don't know if we know who he is yet. The white smoke poured out of the Sistine Chapel chimney You always wonder, is the Vatican on fire? But it wasn't. It did come out of the chimney. That signals that a new pontiff has been elected to lead the Catholic Church. We don't know his name yet, Tenneby. Unless they've announced it, and I just haven't seen it on the screen yet. They're actually doing coverage on it on McAfee's show as well. Huh. The top cardinal utters the words habeas papam. That's Latin for we have a pope. The cardinal then reads the winner's birth name in Latin and reveals the name he has chosen to be called. Maybe you can go to your Twitter. You get all your news from Twitter. Maybe Twitter's got it. Maybe somebody has announced who the real name is. I was hoping... I
haven't seen the name yet, other than it is American. It's a cardinal from America.
Oh, really? Well, that kind of...
American Pope.
I'm not going to say I'm devastated, but I had been hoping for...
Oh, it's Robert Prevost.
Oh, Provost. Yeah.
First American pontiff in history. He'll be known as Leo the 14th.
Leo. Not the 13th, not the 15th, but the 14th. I was hoping for Pier Battista Pizzaballa. Pizzaballa. He's Italian. It would have been the first Italian pope in decades. And that's who I thought was the front runner. I rubbed my temples last night, and that's who I came up with. I just don't believe that the Italian, this cardinal's name is Pizzaballa. It just almost sounds like it sounds almost like a Saturday Night Live skit, right? You're a cardinal from Italy, and your real name is Pizzaballa. Etzabata. Hey, what's the matter with you? So, well, the Catholic Church now has a new leader, and other than what you just gave me, that's all I know about him.
He's 69 years old, born in Chicago, went to Villanova, was a math major.
Okay.
Robert F. Prevost.
I wanted to, at 69, I'm wondering where that leaves him, because it seems like the Pope's, it's never like, hey, 26-year-old Joe Bag of Donuts, right? It's always some guy that's certainly collecting Social Security at this point in his life. He's, AARP, right? He's probably on Medicare and Medicaid at this point in his life. It's never a young guy. I wonder if I got to think he might be one of the youngest popes ever at 69. Because like I say, they're always really old. I'm not going to say old and crotchety. They seem to all be in good spirits and be relatively happy. But I don't know where this puts him as far as age-wise. And let's hope he lives a long life. Viva la Vatican. Good for him. And I hope he does the things that he needs to do. Leo 14. You have Leo the First. Right? Did you see this coming and named you? Would you tell Leo that you were named after?
I saw it coming.
You saw it coming. I just loved it. I used to tell Deuce. I said, we had two names nailed down for you, either Daniel or Poindexter. And then Pete laughs. I go, you should laugh. You were either going to be Peter or Finsterwald.
I always.
Can you imagine naming your kid Poindexter and having him go to school? Poindexter Cole, or how about Finsterwald? And they actually believed it, because kids believe anything you tell them, right, when they're really young. So they really thought that that's what their names were narrowed down to. Can you believe the sigh of relief they must have had when they was like, Dad said he was going to call me Finsterwald. He was going to call me Poindexter. And those are fine names, especially if you're Pope. Pope Poindexter. It's got nice alliteration, right? Pope Poindexter. But all is well with the world. I actually do have a Viking thing, Tenneby, for our Peek at the Purple, brought to you by Affordable Electric. Rich Eisen does he's got a radio show, I believe, right?
Yeah.
He works, is he ESPN or?
He used to be a long time ago.
I don't know what
he's nationally syndicated now. He's done like NFL Network.
This is a CBS Sports story that says, Vikings Kevin O'Connell says J.J. McCarthy has had great start to offseason, but won't name him the starter yet. Of course not. He's not the starter yet. Could that mean, Tenneby, that Aaron Rodgers isn't out of the picture yet? If Sam Howell wins the starting job in training camp, we're in trouble. Now, I don't mean any, I don't harbor any ill will towards Sam Howell, and I guess I am passing judgment, but he's had a year or two to try to establish himself as a starting quarterback, has he not? Do we know? Do we have any indication? Do you know anything about Sam Howell other than his name? You do? What do you know about him?
He was drafted in the 5th round 3 years ago.
Okay.
He was Washington's starter for an entire season.
Oh, that's right. You brought that up during draft.
And then got sent to Seattle and was a backup there. I think he maybe played one game, and that did not go well. Played for North Carolina.
North Carolina kid. Kevin O'Connell was on with Rich Eisen, and it says, this is a CBS Sports story. To this point in the offseason, Vikings coach Kevin O'Connell says the 22-year-old McCarthy is, quote, owning it while remaining ambiguous about any pending quarterback competition. He says JJ is going to be in a great position to assume and ascend in our organization, almost like picking a pope, right? JJ is going to be in a great position to assume and ascend in our organization. But right now, we really don't have any feelings on competition as much as we've got an obligation as coaches to put our players in a position to attack the competition phase. Sam will be a part of it. We got to get Sam ready to play. We got to get Brett Rippon ready to play. Excited about our quarterback room, but now it's our job to go coach them. O'Connell went off to say that McCarthy is having, quote, a great start, unquote, to his offseason program. And he told Eisen the Viking fan shouldn't be worried about the number of snaps McCarthy takes with the starters. Here's what he said. When he is taking snaps, he's taking plenty of snaps from Ryan Kelly, who happens to be a 10-year starting center in this league. JJ is going to get with the ones. We're going to have him ready to go. The coach applauded his quarterback for how he dealt with that season-ending injury and sees significant improvement. Here's what he said. McCarthy really had to deal with what that was like to have the game taken away. I've got to focus solely on my rehab. I want to be out there with my guys. There's nothing I want more. He had to really laser his focus and center on getting healthy, and he did that. He was able to attack the offseason once the season kind of ended and kind of be in this building every day. He's bigger. He's stronger. I can see it in his arm. I can see it in his movements. I can see just the ownership of playing quarterback for the soon-to-be big game world champion Minnesota Vikings. I threw the soon-to-be big game world champions in. Sorry. It's just a habit. He gained a lot from last year, albeit not how we drew it up. Now, can we just build this thing together, stand strong forever? Is anything going to stop us now? No, he said, now we can just build and build and build and progress, sort of like battling and battling and battling. And McCarthy also seems confident his recovery is saying it is 110%. So, yeah, I mean, again, I understand a coach doing the old look. No one's going to be gifted the starting quarterback position, but I would say right now tend to be, if there is a pecking order, if you're going to label your quarterbacks, he's one. I would think Howell's two, just because of veteran experience,
yes.
And then Rippon three.
Yeah. But
that could change. I suppose, especially injury, obviously, would change things. But other than that, I think that's kind of the way we're going. Peek at the Purple, Peek at the Pope, brought to you by our friends at Affordable Electric. Get a safety inspection, because May is electrical safety month. Go to affordable-electric.com. Affordable-electric is shockingly affordable. Quick break, come back. Let's dive into the Wolves, Genevieve. Let's do it. Let's go inside the paint, do a little Wolves Warriors talk next here on the Fan.
Fuel up for Game 2 tonight with Carboni's Pizza. Visit one of their 30-plus locations to enjoy delicious food and get ready for the Minnesota playoff run. Find your nearest Carboni's today at carboниspizza.com.
Couple 13-14 pass, Common Man program. I'm Common. He's 10-B. Tennessee, I don't ask a lot from you. I'm not saying I don't ask, PST, program password, montages, right? And you do a great job. You really do. That's why you're still here. I
was waiting for the but.
Yeah. No, but, here's the but. What I didn't ask you, and I should have, was we should have tried to book a guest, Warriors related. We should have tried to get Draymond Green, not to talk about the series, but to talk about him winning the Preposterous Statement Tournament, because he's the reigning Preposterous Statement Tournament champion. When he said the fine system in the NBA isn't designed to allow players to accumulate wealth.
I always love that one.
Do you still have the soundbite anywhere?
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Close circuit of Draymond's listening, or anybody with the Warriors organization. What are the chances that somebody with the Warriors said, I wonder what the sports talk radio guy at noon is talking about the game tonight? What's the feel in town? And then he hears this. Draymond Green, a quote. I don't remember exactly when it was from. It was last year because he won the PST for 2024. So sometime in 2024, Draymond Green talked about, and he's accumulated a lot of fines over the years. Here's Draymond.
The fines, to me, don't make sense. You know, when you talk about as hard as we work to accumulate wealth, coming from situations that most people never make it out, and then you get fined the way we get fined, it's actually not set up for us to be wealthy after we're done playing.
Right. It's just not set up that way. And the NBA knows what they're doing, too. They're levying fines to people to get that money back and then give it back to the owners. You know, I mean, if you look at all the fines in the NBA, Tennessee, it's literally 75% of the payrolls of every basketball team. That's what he's acting like. It's like, well, no, it'd
be like us going, let's say you get speeding ticket after speeding ticket. Man, the way we're governing here is not meant for us to be wealthy. Just stop speeding.
Just stop speeding. Just stop strangling people. But anyway, yeah, so it'd be great to have on if anybody with the Warriors organization was listening at that very moment. And Draymond would like to. I won't ask about the game. Don't care. All I want to know is, can you explain yourself on the setting up for wealth? Here's the whole thing with the NBA. Game 2 tonight on this radio station, Wolves versus the Warriors. We all know what happened game 1. The Wolves, I think, got blindsided. I don't know if it was, the rust stuff. I'm not a big, because here's what's, it's just a convenient excuse. Because everybody wants to have a quick series and let the other team have a drag-out, knockdown series, which is exactly what happened. Lakers go belly up and lose in a gentleman's sweep 4-1. The Wolves have pretty near a week off. And then Golden State's got a 3-1 lead, and they lose back-to-back games to Houston. They got to go through a grueling Game 7, then get on a plane and fly right to that I think it was the flight is really what did it, that 2-hour, 50-minute flight, chartered flight from Houston. That was enough to put that pushed the Warriors over the edge as far as tuckeredness, right? So that's why I roll my eyes, shrug my shoulder, and shake my head at home court advantage and long series, short series. Most people, if you spelled out exactly what happened, they would say, well, the Wolves should win that game because they'll be tanned, rested, ready, and the Warriors will be exhausted. And it was just the opposite. The Wolves looked like they were the ones that were exhausted. They didn't know what hit them. They got hit by a freight train. And the Warriors came out energetic, physical, played really hard defense, and then they even lost their best player, in the first half. There were 8 or 10 minutes gone in the second quarter, and then the Warriors still ended up winning the game. But, so, what's going to happen here in game? Will the Wolves come out flat again? Will they be ready this time? They just seem like they weren't ready for the game, which I don't understand. The quote from Finch yesterday, what was that about? Something like, well, I don't know what to tell you if you can't get ready for game 1 of the Western Conference semifinals, we're just not on the same page. Right? Should a coach have to do a who dat going to beat them Saints kind of a pep talk? I wouldn't think at this stage of these guys' careers and knowing what's at stake, you should be able to fire yourself up. They apparently hadn't been able to do that. But somebody said they think my voice sounds raspier than it did yesterday. I think it does.
I think it's a little deeper, yeah.
It's raspier. It's smokier. It's more seductive. The women love it. I'm the Radio Romeo, the dream of the everyday housewife. Anyway, this is one of the issues I have with basketball in general, and maybe specifically the NBA, is, and you and I have had this discussion now, tend to be over and over, not every day, but during the basketball season, especially if there was a game in which one team feels like they were jobbed by the officials. Basketball is just a really hard game to officiate. Of all the major sports, of all of them, You've got a 94-foot court. You have big, strong, fast, athletic guys. Well, with the exception of a couple of dope-de-dopes, but going up and down the floor, and it's fast-paced, and it's split second, and it's hard to see, was there contact, wasn't there? I actually don't even know what a foul is in the NBA anymore. What's a foul? Contact, a stop, what's the exact definition of a foul? I don't think it.
Well, then it changes in the playoffs, too.
That's exactly right. That's another point I was going to get to, but the headline from the CBS Sports Story says, Chris Finch says Warriors are tackling Rudy Gobert. Steve Kerr says Wolves are bear-hugging Steph Curry. Everybody's got a complaint. A couple of weeks ago, Minnesota Timberwolves coach Chris Finch said that the physicality in the NBA playoffs had, quote, gone way too far and disrupted the flow. On Wednesday, a day after the Wolves lost Game 1, Finch got more specific. Quote, on defensive rebounding, the Warriors do a lot of fouling, holding, shoving, pushing, and tackling Rudy. That's clear. We sent a bunch of those clips into the league. In fact, I'm not sure I know another player in the league with Rudy's pedigree that's allowed to be physically beaten on the way he is. And so we got to address that one way or another. Asked if Gobert needs to push opponents around the same way, Finch said he did push. I mean, there was a play last night where Podziemski, is that how you say it? I'd have to ask Rosie, and then Rosie might have a different pronunciation today, might have a different one for him tomorrow. He did push. I mean, Brandon clearly grabs him, and then he sheds Podziemski, and then he gets the foul. So, I mean, we'll certainly try to take justice into our own hands whenever we can. I think that's the nature of physical sport. But by the same token, my God, you should see some of these clips. They look like pulling guards and linemen out there taking shots at Rudy. Now, Tennessee, in response, Golden State Warrior coach Steve Kerr told reporters, quote, I didn't see a single foul on any of those plays. Then, after some laughter, he made it clear that he wouldn't argue with Finch. No, yeah, there's a lot of physicality in the lane for sure, and they definitely could have called a couple of those. Kerr and the Warriors, though, have their own issues with physicality. This is a league-wide issue. Kerr said, I was upset the first 10 minutes of Game 1. It was just like Houston all over again. They were bear-hugging Steph. They could have called 6 fouls, but the league has established the physicality in the playoffs. During the playoffs, officials have been, quote, consistently allowing teams to foul. To me, it's crazy out there, what's happening. Everybody's fouling each other. I just feel like they have a really hard job because playoff basketball is, yes, it's physical and they're going to allow more, but I think they could have called a foul 6-7 straight possessions with them guarding Steph. So I got my complaints too. Trust me, we all do. And this is how it works in the playoffs. We watch the tape. We see all the fouls on them that aren't called. They watch the tape. They see all the ones on us that weren't called. It's a physical game. It's going to be, and both teams have to adjust. I'm getting ready to send my own clips into the league. So that's what I do like Stevie Kerr. And I like Finch. I like where Finch said it's like pulling guards and tackles in football. And it's like, that's the whole thing. It's just stop the nonsense. Which way do you want? Maybe they should meet before the game and say, meet with the two, like how the umpires meet with the managers and exchange the lineup cards at the beginning of the game, right? Maybe they should meet with the two coaches and say, how do you want us to call it tonight? You want ticky-tack or do you want to let us play? You make the decision. Tell us right now what you want to do. Because it sounds like they know I think the coaches like physicality when it benefits their team. But when it doesn't, then they don't want it to be physical. Then they want ticky-tack. And that's why I just roll my eyes, shrug my shoulders, and shake my heads with these guys. And it's like, what do you want? And it's the same thing. It's always... I did like that Kerr just, he made all the reporters laugh when he said, I watched that. I didn't see any fouls. Because he knows they're mugging Gobert. But what was even more...
Well, there was one specifically where Gobert is about to go for a rebound. And one of the Warriors players from behind Gobert, literally just flat out shoved him. And then he shoved him into his own teammate. Mm-hmm. And the Gobert got called for the foul for hitting the guy's teammates. Well, he just got pushed into him.
Right, exactly. I remember.
It was friendly fire.
Well, and then here's what's funny about the Chris Finch's Warriors are tackling Rudy Gobert. In the picture that's included with the story on CBS Sports. It's one where Gobert is grabbing onto one of the Warriors' jerseys and he's pulling it completely. I mean, he's pulled it completely away from him. It's like, it looks like a piece of Turkish taffy or something that he's pulling. So again, the picture they show is actually Gobert grabbing a guy's jersey, and I don't know what the answer is, and that's why it's the truth, the whole truth, or some semblance of the truth. I just don't whine about fouls either way. I mean, it's hard to accept. We've all, whether you're a basketball mom or dad, like I was a basketball dad for all those years, watched hundreds of travel basketball games and AAU games and high school games, then just watching, college and the pros. We've all watched. We all have favorite teams. We see it happen all the time where we go, well, wait a minute. That should have been called a foul. Or how did they call a foul on my guy? Everybody, and it's interesting when the calls are in favor of one club. Like, let's say tonight, the calls are heavily in favor of the Wolves, in their favor. Wolves fans will think it was a great officiated game. Wonderful. Did a great job. Warrior fans will be up in arms. Vice versa. If it's officiated in the Warriors' favor, Warrior fans will go, oh, yeah, that was, the officials finally got it right. That's a good crew of officials. While the Wolves fans will be going, well, these guys should all be banned from ever officiating a basketball game in the NBA ever again. So it's like, what do you want? So you just got to.
And ultimately, I know what Finch is doing, right? And Kerr was doing the same thing. They're playing the game of trying to manipulate officiating in any way, shape, any way, shape, or form they can throughout a playoff series. Ultimately, the officiating had zero impact on the result of Game 1. The Timberwolves would have lost no matter the officiating. And I don't remember. I remember the Gobert thing, but other than that, I didn't watch the game going, man, are we just getting jobbed by the officials in this one?
Yeah, and I think in most cases there are going to be mistakes. And we just talked about it. The officials are going to miss some. It's a fast-paced game. Sometimes your view is there's three officials on the court, but there are times where even if you're in the right position, I'm sure the way you officiate tend to be is once they get into the front court, each official is supposed to sort of kind of be stationed in a certain area that would, generally speaking, give them the best angle to see the plays as they progress. But there are going to be times when your vision is going to be obscured and you're just not going to see it. Was there contact there or wasn't there contact there? And it's unfortunate when what you obviously don't want to see is the calls that, and I get it. I mean, we've talked about this so many times. A call in the first quarter can be as important or game-changing as one late in the game, but it is the ones late in the game, the one specifically when the Pistons were playing the Knickerbockers. Was that game 4? I don't recall. Game 6, whatever it was. I don't remember how many they beat him in. Did that go 7, I think? But there was a call where the Piston took a 3-point play at the buzzer, with a 1-point, and it was definitely a foul, and they didn't call it. And that is a game-changer, because if he goes to the free throw line and makes 2 of them of the 3, because it was a 3-point shot, Detroit's going to win the game. There's not going to be enough time for New York unless they throw a full court buzzer beater. So those are the ones that do. Goes back to, football. Look at the calls. The one where they changed from it was Rams Saints. I can't remember who fouled who pass interfered on who. That's why they changed the rule for a year. That changed who went to the big game. It just did. Same with the Vikings, and when Lieber got called for the phantom pass interference in this Saints game, that wasn't pass interference, but they called it. So there's nothing. So I can understand why there is the Drew Pearson pushing off Nate Wright. I can understand why fans are bitter, right? But it is what it is. So I hope there isn't one of those calls late in the game that changes that for either team. I guess if push comes to shove, which is what happens in basketball, pushing comes to shoving, I hope if there is one that costs them the game, it costs the Warriors. But I just don't think it's going to. I do think Look at last night, Timothy.
Tuesday night.
I'm
you're talking about games last night.
I'm talking about a game last night. Well, let's talk about Tuesday night, or would it have been Monday night? Regardless of what night it was. Denver makes a stunning fourth quarter rally and beats Oklahoma City. So now you're probably thinking, boy, Oklahoma City's in a lot of trouble now. Denver beat them in that game one. Now they've got home court advantage, and boy, oh boy, they're good. How much did OKC win by last night? 30? 35?
I think more than that.
40 points. They just absolutely destroyed the Denver Nuggets. Now, did the game get so out of hand so early that Denver did what... I don't think Denver did what the Warriors did when the Warriors in game...
They won by 43 last night.
43. Remember the Warriors in their series with Houston, game 5, after they got behind early, they just pulled all the old guys and said, we'll live to fight another day. I didn't watch all of last night's game. I was in and out. I don't think Denver pulled maybe late they pulled people off the floor, but I think they didn't do it in the first half. But do I expect now do I do the other way? I go, well, now, boy, Denver's got, Oklahoma City's got this. They're going to win this series now. It could change back the other way. Just like the Wolves got smacked in the mouth. They got out-rebounded. They got out-defensed. They got out-physicaled without Steph Curry, and they won the game. So if you take that and say, well, what should happen tonight? Well, they'll probably do it again. I don't... I firmly expect the Wolves, if they don't win, they're in trouble. Because if you can't beat when it's gut check time, your back's against the wall, you don't want to go down 0-2 and you lose to, when you know you need to even this series and they're missing their best player, if you lose, they're in deep trouble at that point, I would think. But I expect... Do I think it's going to be a 46-point victory for the Wolves? No, but I think they'll have a comfortable win. I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's going to be a comfortable victory for them tonight.
Oh my gosh.
Do you concur?
Are you doubting Jimmy Butler?
I not really, because I think Jimmy Butler will play very well. I love Jimmy Butler. He's my favorite player in the league. But I just think Minnesota is deep enough and talented enough. And, I mean...
They're missing their best player.
Yeah, Golden State's missing their best player.
And the desperation level,
right.
Obviously.
Exactly.
Usually the team... No, we didn't see it. Cleveland blew it against Indiana, and we've seen Boston blow it against New York. But typically, a home team that lost game 1, they come out pretty desperate game 2, as we saw with OKC last night.
Well, and Boston had a large lead for most of that game. I watched the part I saw was when New York basically couldn't miss and went on that run. They had I don't remember what the run was, like a 19-2 run. There was a stretch where Boston couldn't score. They had 12 consecutive shots where they did not score, and they got that game just stolen from them. Just stolen. That was a game they should have won. And now Bodega Cat and the rest of the Knickerbockers are up. But, yeah, but I would expect the Wolves...
And I would expect them to not shoot as poorly as they did in game 1.
Because that's 2 games in a row they've shot bad. I mean, unless that's now, instead of a mirage, if that's a trend, because remember how bad it was against the Lakers? Was it the entire Laker game or just second half of the Laker game? I know that they shot really poorly in the Laker game as well for a stretch, if not the whole game.
That was from 3, it was pretty consistent.
Yeah, right, yeah. From 3. And then they couldn't make them last night either. So if they go back to that, yeah, I guess... Here's a text message that came in that says, people want officiating to be consistent. Letting significant contact go and then calling marginal contact is extremely frustrating. I would agree with that. I would say that's why you're either going to call it tight or you're going to let it go. And letting it go can be a little risky too, because then guys can actually get injured. Or then it's it's hack-a-shack. It's well, come on, man. I know you want to let it go and get physical, but you can't let them get away with those. It's basically, that old cliche, that joke about, check to see if you got your wallet. He got mugged, man. So you don't want that. But I tend to lean toward, I like when they physical.
I lean towards physical.
Yeah.
I think one of the most refreshing things about watching game 1 against the Warriors is not seeing Golden State intentionally trying to draw fouls like Luke and LeBron do nonstop.
Right.
Golden State just ran their offense and did shots. They weren't trying to oh, I'm close to getting contact, I'm going to flail my arms up. That stuff drives me bonkers.
Yeah, it does. It takes away from the game. And then I guess officials maybe after a while go, I better call something eventually. I can't just let them. They must be getting some contact. I don't know if officials you would hope wouldn't be influenced by crowd reaction, coaches screaming. But coaches do. They work them hard. It must work, Tennessee. It's the only sport. Football, they work the referees a little bit, but it's more difficult to do because it's a 100-yard field, It's hard, and they're the coach has to stay in that. He can only go so far, right? And baseball, I guess manager can yell things. In hockey, I don't know what you can do. You're standing behind a bench. It's hard to get in a ref's ear. But in basketball, they're coming right next to you, and they just ride them relentlessly.
They walk on the court half the time, which I don't know how they're allowed to do.
We got other text messages coming in on officiating and the game itself. We'll get to all of that and more. But on the other side of the break, a little 5-3-4 from Tenna.
Yeah, what is the Purple's biggest post-draft roster hole?